Good morning everybody and welcome to VG Myths, the online internet video game TV show on a collision course with game design. Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled is a remake of the best kart racer in the genre. Fight me. Seeing the cast of the platformer series arbitrarily stuffed into go-karts and fruitlessly told to play nice. One of these characters is Dingo who is legally the best. You see, Dingo realized heavy karts are slow when you win races by going fast. Remove all the unnecessary parts of the kart, for example that pesky piece of junk crowding your right foot, and you'll have a lighter vehicle, and therefore a faster vehicle. Dingo good at smart, Dingo good at fast. Can Dingo beat Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled without the gas pedal? I'll be doing the run in Classic mode, which recreates the original PS1 game's difficulty level. There's only one rule for this run. Using the gas button during gameplay is banned. The run is complete when we win the final boss battle against Nitrous Oxide. Short, simple, sweet, and to the point. Let's get this started. No, wait, I should probably explain how it's even possible to play the game, shouldn't I? While the question sounds completely stupid at first, it's not as stupid as it sounds. Correction, it's not as impossible as it sounds. Using down on the D-pad lets you reverse without the gas button, allowing you to traverse the hub world and actually enter the races. Once there, driving backwards on its own is way too slow, but we can reverse into a boost pad and start racing properly. Crash Team Racing is built around the drift boost mechanic. Use the drift button to hop while turning at a decent speed and you'll enter a drift. Press the other drift button with proper timing and you'll get a momentary boost. This boost will propel you forward whether you're touching the gas pedal or not, and you can chain boosts together to keep yourself going indefinitely. The problem is, you must be moving to drift. If you ever come to a complete stop, for example because there's 7 other people on the track trying to murder you, you'll lose the ability to drift and therefore the ability to win. If you do end up crashing, depending on where the crash took place, you may be able to recover by backing up to the nearest boost pad. You could also get a nitro boost from item boxes. Instead of immediately using them to boost, hold on to it as a backup, allowing you to recover from a later crash. AI opponents thankfully will never get the magnet orb or stopwatch, so get enough of a lead in front of them and they won't be able to attack you. Jokes aside, I legitimately recommend playing as a speed type character. In classic mode, that means either Dingo or Dingo. You might think we want Dingo for his speed, that's certainly why I chose him at first, but Dingo's true strength is his weakness, turning. With such a terrible turning stat, Dingo is capable of going in almost a straight line while drifting, meaning we can more easily chain drift boosts in narrow areas. Even if a level doesn't have a boost pad near the starting line, we've got a backup option, as seen in Ruse Tubes. Position yourself at the top of a steep slope facing downhill, then constantly hop. Provided the hill is steep and long enough, a few hops will get you enough momentum to drift boost and start your combo. This certainly takes a bit of time to get used to, but all it takes is one successful race on each track to earn the trophy and move on to the next. Immediately after Ruse Tubes, we went to Mystery Caves, which is an easy clear thanks to a pair of boost pads just in front of the starting line. Sewer Speedway is the game's first major challenge. The hills aren't steep enough to drift on, and the first boost pad is a lengthy drive in front of us. Not only that, but the boost pad covers the entire length of the track. Simply backing up into it isn't an option. You could luck out and get a nitro boost from the item boxes, but even without luck, we've still got a strategy. Back up towards one of the walls at an angle and try to turn yourself forward right as it activates. Done properly, you can get yourself stuck boosting on the opposite wall and majigger yourself back into the race. AI drivers are polite enough to slow down while you're in last place, so even with their massive lead, all hope is not lost. Drive flawlessly and you should have enough time to catch up with and overtake them in lap 2 or 3. Boost pads in this track are extremely rare, so wiping out halfway is a death sentence. Do your best to keep your lead, mind the rolling barrels, and cross the finish line to unlock the boss fight. You might be worried about facing Ripperoo, but boss fights are actually generally easier than the standard races. Ripperoo is restricted to dropping TNT crates, which will automatically disappear within 1 lap. Once you get in front of him, he's almost completely incapable of interfering with you, making the rest of the race a carefree breeze. Half of World 2 is easy, plenty of open space to drift on and boosts and slopes to recover with. Tiger Temple does have some narrow corridors you'll probably want to slow down in, but thankfully with a speed character there's still enough space for drifts. Then there's Papu's friggin' Pyramid. Right at the beginning of the race is an extremely narrow temple with 4 right angle turns in a row. There's thankfully a boost pad right at the top, so recovery isn't out of the question. However, climbing up the entire thing all 3 laps is too big a time investment. After a couple hours of training, I managed to get a strategy that worked most of the time. You can control your speed and angle a bit by hopping while you take the turns, giving you just barely enough room to boost up to the top. Even if you do crash, this level thankfully has 2 gigantic shortcuts that are fairly easy to take and the AI tends not to take. So with a bit of luck, you can close the distance and bank that trophy. It is worth noting the boss fight against Papu Papu is once again at Papu's Pyramid, so you'll have to repeat the entire thing, but as with Ripperoo, the boss fight is way easier than the regular race. At first glance, Dingo Canyon might look easier than Papu's Pyramid. We don't quite have to do anything as difficult as those right angle turns. However, notice there are absolutely no boosts or slopes near the starting line. We have to reverse along the track for a good 30 seconds to get to the first hill. Then there's a narrow flooded area where the water will completely eat your boost, a couple narrow tunnels with sharp turns, and tons of hazardous armadillos that can be extremely difficult to dodge if you pass by at the wrong time. To make up for that 30-second head start at the beginning of the race, you're gonna have to dodge all this crap darn near flawlessly, and then just pray the AI racers don't decide to kill you during the final push in lap 3. Though no individual turn is harder than the one in Papu's Pyramid, the necessary consistency in both your driving skill and your luck make this level substantially more difficult and substantially more satisfying when you pull it off. And your reward? Your reward is a vacation to Dragon Mines, located in scenic hell. Dragon Mines features a trick turn even worse than the ones on Papu's Pyramid, an upward spiral requiring the player do a full 360-degree turn while constantly losing speed against the slope. If you mess up, the nearest boost is at least a 20-second drive away, and that's only if you mess up at the top of the spiral, and you have to beat this course twice. Once again, the hardest course of the level set is the one that features the boss battle. With our current strats, this is just not happening. I had to suck it up and do the most disgraceful thing a challenge runner could ever do. Listen to the advice of the Twitch chat. During the prior levels, several speedrunners popped in to helpfully let me know I could make sharper turns by holding down on the D-pad plus the brakes at the same time. Naturally, in response, I politely informed them I'm dumb and bad at video games and don't feel like actually trying to improve, then permabanned and started a lawsuit against them for backseat gaming. This strategy of willful ignorance worked during those early levels, but alas, it has its limits, and Dragon Mines leaves no option other than being good at video games. It's difficult to wrap your head around at first. If you hold the brake button too long, you'll just end up coming to a stop. But after some practice, your brain will remap itself into a Crash Team racing machine, making this turn and this race possible. And I've got awesome news. Now that you're good at video games, the rest of this run is substantially easier. There are no trick turns quite as difficult as the ones we just had to deal with, and the only stage with a particularly late starting boost, pull or pass, just happens to be one of the longest tracks in the game, giving plenty of time for us to play catch-up. Most of the later levels are also extremely generous with boost pads, so even if you crash, it's rarely a definitive failure. Demolish the last fourth of the game, prove Dingo Dial's questionable driving strategy superior, and the Crash Team Racing Unfueled run is mission complete. But we're not quite done yet. As a bonus challenge, we're going for the game's true ending, requiring us to collect at least a Sapphire Relic on every track's time trial. This inherently also requires beating all 5 gem cups to unlock one track, which itself inherently also requires collecting all CTR tokens to unlock all the cups. To summarize, we have to do practically everything. The cups themselves are pretty easy. Placing first in 3 out of 4 tracks guarantees a win, so you don't even need to play perfectly. And if one track is difficult, giving up is legitimately a valid strategy. The majority of CTR tokens are no more difficult than the initial races on their respective tracks. Even in the worst case scenarios on Dingo Canyon and Dragon Mines, they mostly just see us acquiring and using a backup nitro boost at a specific part of the track. The relics on the standard races are mostly the same, since Sapphire relics, let's face it, are just a consolation prize. Though with Dingo Canyon being exceptionally more difficult thanks to its 30-second penalty when getting yourself started. I only barely managed to get the Sapphire Relic time with less than 1 second left on the clock. The absolute hardest challenges, however, are the CTR tokens in the battle arenas. You have to collect 20 crystals under a time limit. The first of these is easy thanks to the item boxes containing nitro boosts. The latter 3 arenas boxes, however, only contain bombs, which are mostly useless, and the slopes generally aren't steep enough either. There is, however, one more way to get boosts. You'll get a trick jump boost if you hop and get a good amount of hang time. Normally, this means hopping at the peak of a hill, but we can cheese it and just hop off a cliff in reverse. This makes Rocky Road and Rampage Ruins possible, though I do need to mention that both are ludicrously extremely difficult this way and require perfect memory of every crystal location and astronomically precise drifts. Then there's Nitro Court. There are no nitro boosts, no boost pads, and the ground is completely flat. Bonus challenge failed, the end. Yeah, seriously, that's it. There's just no way, we can't even get started. I did, of course, at least try to route out a perfect path through the stage in reverse, where my best attempt managed to grab 18 of the 20 crystals. I don't have much hope for improvement after that, though. The 18 I grabbed were mostly on the inside of the court, where they're naturally much closer to each other. Grabbing crystals further on the outside of the court requires a substantially larger time investment. We have almost exactly the same problem in Slide Colosseum. The level is thankfully optional in the main run and only contains a time relic, but it is required for the bonus challenge. There are technically some slopes at some of the turns in the track, but they're pathetically low and I have no idea how I could ever possibly get a drift out of them. Though the bonus challenge is a failure, we did at least manage a completion percentage of 93%, which, if I do say so myself, is enough to celebrate. 3 dingos for Dingo Dial, everybody.
Dingo, dingo, dingo!
Before we head out, special thanks to YouTube user BLB Show, who suggested this run a few months back and actually proved it possible themselves in the original CTR. Full disclosure, I just sat on the idea this entire time in the hopes I could use it as an excuse for a free copy of the remake. It worked! And finally, special thanks to all Patreon backers, including Andrew Seibert, Quotes Terrible, Bedside Manor, Mrs. Seckman, Leslam, RB Drox, All in Zero, Mr. Harry Wonka, Alexander Bakken, Chris Nate, Anu, Chosen Muffin, Ikrira, Jez, BCR Main Sound, Zainabane, The Bass Singer, Vincent Hall, Vincent YT, Yellow Alert, Alex Nelson, and On42, Chocolate Boy 97, I'm Justin, Pepsi Man EXE, The Quacky Gamer, Kazoy, Pencil Twist, Baxoy, Jason Ilges, Liddy Kitty, Lively Leader, Luminescent Dragon, Z-Master, Isaac, Jace Harsh, Praetor, Zavi G, Mikey Parker, Faith, William Cord, Ashley, Lane Robert Leishman, Rory Kelly. Whether we wanted it or not, we've stepped into a war with the Cabal, Miles Wolfram, Dead Path, Games Freak SA, Goopy Fella, Michael Larson, Powerful Soul, Brian, Comic Con Deadpool, Crustacean Creep, Lenoria Mara, Queen Sapphire, Quinn Mudry, Plum Sweater, and Luigi Means Me. Let me know how much this video sucks and how to improve in the comments below. Dingo, dingo, dingo for watching. And go, baby, go.